Good afternoon, everyone. We have a new video by Young Don Animations. Why? Why I wish I never started vaping. So, if you don't vape early, don't start. It's a bad habit. It's just not worth it. But let's let Young Don tell us his story about it.
She's hitting it, and then she offers it to me. Now, initially on the inside, I'm like, I don't want to hit this. Like this isn't my thing. But you heard that? That's the sound of failure. To be specific, that's the sound of failing to quit nicotine, man. I've tried to quit juuling 4 times.
It's just funny. That little crackling sound you hear when you vape or you hear little people vape, you hear all the time. It's like, and it gets like so annoying, but you hear it all the time, kind of becomes part of your just daily life.
And you want to know what's funny? I used to think that vaping was like the lamest thing ever. It just didn't look cool to me. It didn't mean that you weren't a cool person. Just vaping itself didn't seem cool to me, which is why I am sick to my stomach to admit that.
That's an interesting one. I feel like my generation, they had the orange commercials, don't smoke cigarettes, stop vaping, you're inhaling nickel and toxic metals in your lungs. They had that commercial. Who was that guy? I think Ludacris or something. He was like on it. A girl was going to prom, but she had to like go outside, smoke a cigarette. The cigarette like unrolled, it's like a long contract, and she signed life away. It was exaggerated, but to get some truth to it.
I have spent thousands, hundreds, probably thousands of dollars on vape over the last 2 years.
Those things like 15, 20
it takes a while to rack it up, but it does add up. That's what they don't tell you before you get addicted, is that this shit is expensive, bro. But today I want to give you a cautionary tale. I want to tell you a story of how I started juuling, right? And that's just a term I use. I don't use Juul anymore. This is not a sponsorship for Juul. Fuck Juul, they took away mint pods. But let me tell you the story of how I got wrapped up into this. Because if 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, you came to me and were like, yo, in 3 years, you're going.
Yeah, life hits you fast. But I think it's just vaping. Anything that you're doing in excess, if you're vaping, smoking, drinking, going out, if you start doing that routinely, it will add up. Derail your life, and then a year from now, you probably wouldn't recognize yourself before you started doing the habit.
Going to be heavily addicted to nicotine. I would be like,
yeah,
nigga, what? Are you dumb? But here I am, with a vape right by my side, which please do not do this, okay? Never. If you have not ever inhaled nicotine, promise me that you will not, because it is not worth it. So if you remember Quinn from the I'm Not Ready to Be a Dad video, something like that, that was my boy that I lived with, and he vapes, bro. Like, he's a vapor, right? White boy, beanie, long hair, right? And he has one of those boxes, like that shit looks like it should turn into a transformer at some point in the day, right? Like, they're big and bulky. They have the.
So I feel like before there's like juuling and disposable pods was available, I do remember people had those big battery packs. Like, bro, chill. It's not that serious, but you need that nicotine fix. You got to do what you got to do.
These huge batteries, and they create these massive clouds, right? He was a vapor, and I lived with him for about 2 years. And in that time period, he had offered me to vape multiple times. And
that's the weird thing, though. I feel like if you live with people who vape, you're not more likely to vape. It's like your willpower or self-control, but it increases. I don't know how, it just does. That, or you're dating a girl or female you with, it's just, it'll happen.
And every single time I was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna stick to grass. You feel me? Like, that's not my thing. So for 2 years, I successfully fended off any advances made by Quinn to, partake in this activity, right? Fast forward, maybe 2 years later, and now I'm living in Austin, Texas. And it's always a woman, man. It's never not a woman. I swear to God, my downfall will be at the hands of some beautiful woman. That is for sure. It's written in stone already. It's coming. Right? So I had this date with this girl, and this was actually the same Moroccan girl from the story way back in the day. I don't even think that story is up anymore because I just couldn't the level of simpness displayed in that story I couldn't even live with that being out in the world anymore. I'm gonna put it back up just because I'm telling this story, so fuck it. I'm gonna put it back up. You can go watch it. But basically what happened is I went on this date with this Moroccan chick, right? And she jeweled, right? She had one of these nicotine vape devices, and she's there doing her thing, and we're chilling in the car, and she's hitting it, and then she offers it to me. Now, initially on the inside, I'm like, I don't want to hit this. This isn't my thing. But this girl was fine, bro. I'm not gonna lie, this girl was bad, bro. I really thought she was pretty fine. And then also, I was like, you know what? I dabble in magic. And if you've seen my magic brownies video, you know exactly what kind of magic I'm talking about. So I'm like, okay, all right. What's this gonna do to me? I handle magic, okay? School of Hogwarts, witchcraft, and wizardry. I am a veteran. What's this little baby, this gay little baby pen gonna do to me, right? So I'm like, all right, shorty, pass you right here. I got that. I hit this thing, and it was like a feeling that I've never experienced before. Now, I am not promoting this, okay? I'm just saying it was different. You feel me? It wasn't the same as magic. It's not the same as drinking liquor. It was different. And it felt a type of way that said, yo, this shit is all right. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, maybe it's not that weird. You feel me? So fast forward a few nights, of course, if you watch the story about the simp story that I linked to earlier, you would know that it never worked out, right? Me and Shorty never went any further because simp shit. Anyway, one night I was having a pretty rough night. I can't remember what was bothering me, but someone was bothering me. And I was like, you know what? I want something to take the edge off, right? But I didn't want to go to my go-tos. I was like, yo, that feeling I had when I hit that thing that one time, I could go for that right now. So I dropped to the store where they sell those things, and I copped one. And I was just...
Somebody said a long time ago, if you're going to hit a vape, do not buy your own vape or have it because you become addicted. If your friend offers you vape, nah, you're good. But if you do wind up taking that one little cheeky, sneaky hit, then just give it back to your friend or just throw it away after. But don't buy your own vape. Set up for disaster.
Chiefing the whole night, bro. And it was a feeling. And thus begins my journey to complete and total addiction. And I use that word because of how hard it hits. It's one of the few non-pussified words we still have today. Addiction. So I got this thing, right, to take the edge off for a night. And I wake up with it in the morning, it's still there. So I'm like, all right, why not? And then, fast forward, and now I have this relationship with this thing. But the crazy part is, I don't even feel it anymore. Like 99% of the people that you see walking around with these things.
Yeah, that's not true. I think the morning hits from vaping will probably be the strongest, so you feel it. And then if you're daily vaping just all day, every day, pretty much not gonna feel it unless there's like a few hours gap between your vaping. But for most people, nah. After that morning hit, you won't feel it unless you leave your vape at home and hit it after work. Then yeah, but every hit, you're not feeling it. Your lungs are, and they ain't happy.
Things get nothing from it because your body gets used to it very quickly. So that feeling of bliss that you initially had when you first were introduced to it, that thing only sticks around for a couple weeks, maybe a month if you're lucky. And then after that, you're just doing it out of habit and because your brain is used to it and it wants it more. So now it literally feels like I'm just taking money and throwing it in the garbage. That's what it feels like. And I cannot believe that it is so hard to just do away with it, because I have never struggled with quitting things, you know, friendships, relationships, dreams. Quitting has never been a hard thing for me to do at any point in my life. But even with all that,
it could be a good thing or bad thing. If you wind up quitting everything you do, of course, it'll have like a negative effect. But there's some things where after a while, it's just not worth holding on to. So yeah, quitting is the better of the two options.
Still have not been able to just put it down forever. Right before I left high school and I was living with my uncle, the uncle that came in clutch after my aunt kicked me out of the first house I was living in when I moved to America. He told me that, son, you're about to go out into the world and you're going to be presented with things that you think you would never do or say yes to. But when that moment arises, you'll find that it's a lot harder to say no than you think it's going to be. It's not going to feel like a big deal at that time, but when you look back, you're going to realize how insidiously this thing that you thought you would never fall victim to crept into your life, and you just, you know, became a part of it. So I just want to say, if you aren't already, you know, entrenched in this trap,
don't start.
Do not ever bend, okay? It's not